Hi there and welcome back to my wedding dress series, and welcome to this channel. My name is Anya and I'm a fashion designer, and I recently got engaged and now I am making my own wedding dress in just 3 weeks. Up until now I made my own research and sketch and pattern, then I decided to make a prototype, and now we finally came to the stage where the real magic begins. In this video we're gonna go fabric shopping, and I'm gonna cut out the pattern pieces from the real material and do all the prepping so that we can start sewing and actually putting this wedding dress together. This is so exciting. I am so happy that I'm finally at this stage, and I am really looking forward to seeing how all of this turns out. How about we just jump right in? So of course the first thing on the to-do list was going to the fabric store and choosing the fabric. This was such an exciting stage. Every time that I get to go to the fabric store and look for the material is super exciting, because that decision is really one of the biggest one in the whole process, because you decide what are gonna be kinda the qualities of the product that you're making. So in this case I really wanted something that was good quality enough and of course affordable. Those were the two main things, and I was on the mission to find 3 different fabrics. One for the base of the dress, which is just of course the main dress. One for the sleeves, that they're gonna be made out of this beautiful sheer material that hopefully has some type of structure so that they stand like in a puffy way like I wanted them in the sketch. And of course the lining, because when I ordered the other dresses, one of the things that really bothered me was that they were very see-through, and that was something I really wanted to avoid. So the lining is definitely gonna help me prevent that, and also is gonna add that additional comfort when wearing the dress. It took a bit of search, but at the end I really found the perfect 3 fabrics that were really beautiful but also didn't break my bank. So I'm super happy that I ended up with these ones, and now I cannot wait to start working with them, which brings me to the next stage. So now that I had my fabrics bought, it was the time to go to the actual studio. I found this place that is really close to where I live, and they just open it up and they have this beautiful textile studio with all the equipment that I would need, and it's gonna make my life and the process so much easier and better. So I'm really excited that I get to go there. They have industrial sewing machines, industrial ironing tables, they have gigantic tables for pattern making and cutting, along with a lot of other things that might come in handy. So I was really excited that I had an actual space outside of my kitchen where I was able to make this dress in a real way. When I arrived, I got right into work. I put the fabric out of the bag, and the first thing that we have to do to prepare the fabric for the cutting stage is of course ironing it. Ironing removes any types of creases, and this might seem like a small detail, but wrinkled fabric can throw off your cutting and lead to uneven pieces, which is something that we really don't want when it comes to a custom wedding dress that should really fit our bodies. One of the best things about this ironing table was how gigantic it was, because I had 3.5 meters of fabric that needed to be ironed, so having that gigantic surface was really useful and really helpful. So I was really excited about that. It also had suction, so that means that with the leg I pushed on this pedal and the suction from below comes, and then you get to iron the fabric very nicely and smoothly, and it makes the whole thing much easier. And even with a professional ironing table that was gigantic, because of the amount of fabric, it still took me more than 30 minutes to iron the whole piece. But taking the time here means that the fabric will lay completely flat when I lay out the pattern, which makes a huge difference in accuracy. So at this point I felt ready to conquer the next stage. After I ironed the whole piece, I placed it on the table and just tried to lay it out as wrinkle-free as possible, and I also folded it in half, because the majority of the pieces that I'm gonna be cutting out right now, they have to be doubled. So I am cutting time in half, and of course making sure that the accuracy is as good as it can be. Placing the paper pattern pieces on the fabric and getting the layout right is really important, and it makes a lot of the difference in both how the dress fits and also how much fabric I use. Of course, I want to be rational and still make sure that everything is okay before cutting. So once I had all the pattern pieces for the front positioned on the fabric, I started pinning them with the metal pins that I always use. Now, some of you might be afraid that I would ruin the fabric, but don't worry, I made the test before that. I actually pinned just some pieces at the edge of the fabric to make sure that they're not gonna leave like little holes in the fabric and ruin the dress. So once I saw that they're not doing that, and even if they leave tiny little marks, I can just iron it and the fabric will jump back into its position or shape, I was confident that I can use the pins. And once everything was pinned, I went in with the textile charcoal and marked all the pattern pieces. I also made sure that I marked all the special darts or the seam allowance and also the key markers that will help me later when I start sewing. This part is really slow and detailed, but it really sets up the entire garment for a clean look and the perfect fit. Now the cutting stage comes. This is definitely the most nerve-wracking stage, and I was shaking because I was so scared, because now I'm finally cutting the real fabric, and this is where it really counts. I can make a huge mistake and meters of fabric will just go to waste, so I had to double check everything and make sure that I was making the right decision. I used my sharpest scissors and went as carefully as possible, following all the markings that of course I draw earlier. In general, I just made sure over and over again that I am cutting precisely and taking my time, because this is one of the most important stages in the process. I mean, I said that for everything, but this one I think really matters. And once I cut out all the pattern pieces that I marked in the front, I moved to the back, because before I didn't have enough space to also do the back at the same time. So now I laid out the rest of the fabric that was left and I put on the back of the dress, which was the biggest pattern piece in the whole design with the train piece. So I made sure that I again repeated the process, which means pinning it down, marking it with a charcoal, and then of course cutting it out. After finishing with the main fabric, I moved to the lining. Cutting the lining is basically like creating the dress twice, since the lining pieces need to match the main dress exactly. This part ensures the dress feels comfortable on the inside and gives the whole garment a smooth, polished look. It also helps with the garment not being see-through. That was something that I was really afraid from the dresses that I bought before, that I thought they were the one, but then they had really bad quality, how see-through the dresses actually were, and that is something that I really didn't want in this dress. So having a lining that was a very good quality was to help any type of visibility that I didn't want. But let's go back to the process. So I repeated the entire process, ironing the lining fabric, laying out the pattern pieces, pinning, marking, and cutting each piece. It was a bit time consuming, but worth it to make sure everything is consistent and ready to assemble. With all the pieces cut out, the last step was transferring any important markings to the fabric. Taking the extra time to transfer these little details may seem tedious, but it saves me so much time and prevents mistakes when I start sewing. This step actually wraps up the preparation, making sure I'm set for the sewing stage. Now I have all the main pieces cut out of the real material, all the dress pieces, all the lining, and I'm super excited to finally start putting this dress together and start sewing, and we will do that in the next video. But maybe you're wondering, what about the sleeves, because we haven't seen anything about the sleeves in this video, and the reason why is because I only have 2 more weeks until the wedding, and I want to make sure that first the dress is made so that at least I have something to wear, and then I will see if I have the time to make the sleeves. Hopefully I do, because I think that the dress is not gonna be complete without them, but That's why I am letting it be for a tiny bit so that I can get the dress going, and then we will do the sleeves. So hopefully we will see that in the future. Now I cannot wait to see how everything starts coming together. Thank you so much for watching, and if you are excited to see the next steps, please subscribe, like. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video where we will actually be sewing the dress together. Okay, bye!